What's up YouTube, my name is Drybones and today we're going to look at my Fluffal deck profile. This is the extra deck, we will saving that for last. This is the monsters, let's just start up. So starting up, I'm rocking one copy of Fluffal Octopus. This cute little guy is just, well, you can just take a Fluffal or Edgem monster from the graveyard when this card is summoned, so it's a kind of monster reborn just to your hand. Then we are taking one copy of Fluffal Dolphin, and yeah, I just like the Fluffal, so of course I need one copy of this guy. And before I continue, I will just say all those deck profiles videos I make, I will not have all the decks I make videos about. They will not have the same amount of cards because in our club we have no limits on our decks. So I believe in my Fluffal deck normally I have 128 cards in. I don't know. But now we have 3 copies of Fluffal Dog. When this monster is summoned, then you can take a Fluffal or Edgem Sabras from your deck and add it to your hand. That is this card is actually one of my favorite Fluffals. Then we have not one copy. We have 2 copies of Fluffal Cat. And this card actually just this card allows you to take Polymerization from your graveyard up to the hand when this card is used for a fusion summon. I love the Fluffals and, well, it's my favorite. Then we have a playset of 3 Fluffal Penguins. This monster is actually a little bit different because when this monster is summoned, then you can special summon a Fluffal monster. And I have started to use the combo with Fluffal Penguin, then I can special summon this guy because his effect counts whenever he's summoned. So I will say if you play with Fluffals, then use this combo because summon a Fluffal Penguin and then get the Fluffal Dog out and play. And we have the rest of the deck over here, just so you know. Then we have what's it called? No, not one. We have 3 copies of Edgem Tomahawk. This card is actually just a damage thing because you can send an Edgem monster from your hand to the graveyard to deal 800 points of damage to your opponent. Then we have 3 copies of Fluffal Leo. And when this card attacks, or when this card declares an attack, there you go. I'm not good at English today. But when this card declares an attack, then he gains 500 attack points. So he will have a full power strike on 2100. Then we have 2 copies of Fluffal Sheep. And this card can actually special summon itself when you control a different Fluffal. A Fluffal that's not Fluffal Sheep. Then we are moving on with 2 copies of Edgem Sabras. A lot of the Fluffal fusions needs this card. I have 3 in total, but for this deck profile I only put 2 in. I will have 3 normally in my deck, or I will begin to upgrade it. I'm also thinking of if you guys out there know about the new Ghost from the Past set that will come to April here 2021 with the Sylvian things or Suvian something, a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling, no, not Dueling, Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, using that deck with plants, and he is he is immortal. Actually, he can't be touched when he used those cards. Not in the first season, as I say. Okay, then we are rocking 3 copies of Fluffal Mouse. When this card is on the field, then you can special summon up to 2 copies of Fluffal Mouse from your deck, and that is the reason why I use all 3 copies. And I think this is so cute. It's a little mouse with wings and a donut. It's funny, they call it a mouse, but it more look like a hamster or something. But you can actually get almost all animals as Fluffal monsters. There's a couple of them I don't use in this video because I don't need them. Then we are rocking 2 copies of Imp Chain. And the only fusion monster is Frightful Sheep. You need this monster too. But actually, when this card is attacking, then I can just add a Imp Chain to my hand from my deck. Then we are moving on. We're still being in the Imp theme with 2 copies of Imp Saw. And this card is actually a kind of pot of greed, because you can send a Fluffal monster to the graveyard and then you can draw 2 cards. And the last Imp monsters is 3 copies of Imp Frightful. This card, I only use this card, for example, with the effect of Imp Tomahawk to deal 800 points of damage, and this card is better in the graveyard than on the field. So if you have the opportunity to send this to the graveyard, then do it. Because always this card are traded as a Fright 4 monster. Then our second last Fluffal is Fluffal Owl. When this monster is summoned to the field, then you can add a Polymerization to your hand from your deck. And also, without using Polymerization, actually, when this card is on the field, I can pay 500 life points to fusion summon a Fright 4 monster from the extra deck. That is insane. Just pay 500. And you can it's a cool combo if you activate Polymerization and then your opponent destroys it with a spell destruction card. Then you can say, okay, you destroyed my first tactic, then I'm going to use this monster's effect to summon the same monster you tried to ruin. Then we have 2 copies of Fluffal Bear, and this is actually just a monster with 1200 attack points. I'm not using it so much because, or I use it to summon Fright 4 Bear, but it's the only one. Then we have 2 not Fluffal cards, and the first one is Winged Kuribo. The only reason I took this little guy with is because he is a fairy type and he looks like a Fluffal, actually. And the last card is Card Ejector. And the only thing, this card is actually only in the deck because I love to ruin my opponent's strategies. For example, in our club, 1 player are using Blue Eyes White Dragons, not the full playset, but he have the Blue Eyes. He also have the Blue Eyes Ultimate, and I think he actually have 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. But out of the most, I'm actually one of the only players that have a strategy with which card I want to build with. For example, my Fluffals, my dinosaurs, my dragons. I'm only going after 1 archetype. For example, with the Fluffals, it's for the most only Fluffal monsters. But let's just continue. Starting up is the spell cards. And I'm rocking 3 copies of Fright 4 Fusion. Remove from play out the fusion materials in your graveyard to fusion summon your monster. Not bad. Then I'm rocking. Then the other fusion card in my deck is 3 copies of Polymerization. This card is actually destructible in a Fluffal deck because on the other spell card I have here, where is it? Here. the Frightful Factory. This card removes from this card banishes will banish one of your polarizations to let you fusion summon again. So that means if you have that on the field or face down and then you activate it. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you. I'm using Dark Hex sleeves to the most of my decks. I will also soon came up with I will make the Winged Dragon Raw deck profile, where it's Raw and the Sacred Beast fusion together. Then we have Frightful Sanctuary, and this card is a perfect combo if you're using the, where is it? I can't find it right now. This HM Frightful Void, because send a card to the graveyard to activate this card and 2 Frightful monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard. And when you have polymerization in your hand, then you can just bam polymerize, or no, not poly. Frightful Fusion. When you have that in your hand or on the field, then you can just remove from play your cards and summon Chimera. Then I'm rocking 1 copy of Frightful Repair. This card is actually a monster reborn full of Fright Force, because you can, or it's not a monster reborn as on that way, because it only returns your I can't speak right now. The only thing it does is it returns your Frightful monster to your extra deck. Then you can special summon a Fluffal or Itchium monster to your field. And it's the same tactic. When you remove this card from the graveyard, then you can summon a Frightful or Itchium monster. The last Frightful or Fluffal spell card is Frightful Patchwork. This card is actually destructible. I'm only rocking 1 on this video, but usually I have 3 copies on the. I have 3 copies of this card in my Fluffal deck when I play with it in the club, or if I want to play with my Fluffals, because it lets you add a not a specific, but you can actually choose 1 Itchium monster and the spell card Polymerization to add up to your hand. And this card is destructible if you are playing with Fluffals, then you can web out your opponent's life points. Then the last card with fusion in its name of spell cards is Refusion. If you are playing with fusions, then you need to have at least 1 copy of this card in your main deck, because pay 800, special summon a fusion monster from your graveyard. And this works like a equipped spell, so when this card is destroyed, then the monster is banished. The monster I choose from the graveyard. Then we have one of my favorite spell cards, and that is Change of Heart. Select and take control of 1 monster your opponent control. This is actually with the older text. Select and control 1 opposing monster regardless of position on the field until the end of your turn. That's the most destructible, and I love when Bakura used it in the originals dual monsters. That is insane. Then we have 1 copy of Monster Reborn from the 2019 Gold Sarcophagus tin. That I was about to say booster box, but it's not a booster box, it's a 2019 tin. I will actually just show it in a minute. We have it here, and I have dropped it, so this is destroyed, but I have a lot of cards in. I think 2 seconds. No, this is not, but I have a lot of cards. I have 2 of these tins, the other one on my table over there. That way. I have my auto copy with all the cards I need for my future deck profiles. I mean, I have Black Wings and Dragon Maids, a lot of stuff. Moving on to the last spell card is Final Countdown. Wow, I was so lucky to actually buy this from Kelsor because I bought this and then a week after I got it, then the prices. You know what? A week after I have ordered this, then the prices what counted up. The selling price was moved from 39 Danish crowns to actually 85 Danish crown or 89. That is insane. It's just $50 in Danish money more. Moving to the last section in the main deck is the traps. And I'm rocking 3 copies of Fluffal Crane. When a Fluffal monster is destroyed you control, then you can take that monster back to your hand and draw an additional extra card. That is not bad. Then I have 2 copies of Fright for March. I would love to have 3 copies, but well, I can't have it. Then I don't want to buy a. It's funny because with the Echim Sabras I have a hell lot of problems to actually just get them home. I think I've tried to order 3 copies maybe 4 times. The second time I got 1 copy home, and then I have waited 2 times more to get the last 2 copies home. That is that's fully done. That's insane because every time the price ran up and ran up and ran up again, and I think, well, if I don't get it, because I already ordered the second time, the price was ran up, or I don't know what's the name of that. It was more expensive. We call it that because it's also a kind of word for it, but it was more expensive to buy. Then we have 1 copy of Designer Fright 4. This card lets you choose an Echim monster or Fluffal monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and then it's traded as a Fright 4 monster. Then we have the one and only Dimensional Prison. Take a monster your opponent control, let declares an attack, remove it from play. Then I have this spell and trap card, Destroyer, Heavy Storm Duster. And this card is destructible. Target up to 2 spell trap cards on the field. You cannot conduct your battle phase this turn you activated. That's fair, I guess. I think that's fair because destroy almost 2 spell and trap cards your opponent control, and then you can conduct your battle phase. That's not unfair. Then I have 1 copy of Bye Bye Damage. My friends hate me when I use this because it's actually funny. When I use this, then I need to take battle damage first. But let us say if I take 2,500 from a Dark Magician direct attack, then I can activate this and boom! My opponent takes the double of that. That means it's 5,000 points of damage. In the official rules, you would have lost. So now I have 1 copy of Mirror Force. That means just when an opponent's monster attacks, then I can destroy all monsters they control. And then we have the last card for this. The main deck is the Jelly Cannon. When a monster declares an attack, target 1 monster on the field, shuffle it into the deck. And now to the extra deck. First up we have 3 copies of Dangerous Fright 4 Nightmare. This card gains 300 for each Fiend and Fairy monster in your turn. It starts on 2,000 attack points. That means a lot of hell stuff. And I can also banish a Fright 4 monster from my X deck to negate a card effect that tries to take this card. Then we have 2 frightful cruel whales. This card, when this card is summoned, then I can actually destroy a card I control and a card my opponent control. And then we have 2. Oh, before I can take a frightful monster or a fusion monster I control. Then a frightful card from my deck or extra deck to the graveyard, except this monster. And then I can that fusion monster gains the half of the original attack points on the monster I sent to the graveyard or banish it. Then I have 1 copy of Frightful Wolf. And this card can only the only effect this card have is actually it can attack the same amount of times of the fusion materials. So if I use 3 monsters, then I can attack 3 times with this monster. Then I have 1 copy of Frightful Bear. And when this card destroys an opponent's monster, then I equip that monster to this card, and then this card gains 1000 additional attack points. Then we have 1 Frightful Kraken, and this card is one of my favorite Frightfuls. And it's so expensive, actually. It's over 150 Danish crowns. Then 1 copy of Frightful Chimera, and when this monster is destroys a monster your opponent controls, I take control of that, and then this card gains 300 attack points. Then we have 2 copies of Frightful Leo, and this is just a damage machine. Because when this monster is summoned, I can target 1 monster my opponent control, destroy it, and then my opponent lose life points equal to the original attack points of that monster. Then we have 1 Frightful Saber Tooth, then a Frightful Sheep, and the funny part is, when this card attacks, my opponent can't activate card effects. And then we are rocking 2 copies of Frightful Tiger. When this monster is fusion summoned, or special summoned, no, fusion summoned, I can target up to the same amount of cards on the field that I used to summon this, just as Frightful Wolf with attacks, but I can just destroy cards instead with this. And then this monster gains 300 for each Frightful monster and Fluffal monster on the field. Guys, that was everything. I can't speak now. That was everything for my Fluffal/Frightful, or just my cute tarot deck profile. If you like these, then make sure to leave a like, and please help me to maybe reach 500 subscribers one day. Peace out.